Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here with my next Boruto manga review. This one's going to be for chapter 65, which is called Karma Power. Overall, I think it's fair to say that this was one of the more exciting chapters from the year. It's a chapter that I think made it clear that a lot of the earlier chapters this year weren't particularly impactful just because of what it does with sort of the cliffhanger ending and how that reverses the way we thought another plot point actually went. And while it is exciting that that plot point has happened in this way, it feels a little bit like they're resorting to writing tricks and not keeping us informed as readers, rather than just pure strong writing to get across these type of things. And that's the one, I suppose, maybe overall criticism you could maybe have about Boruto each month, is that it feels like it's get to a notable cliffhanger ending, even if that cliffhanger ending has no real meaning to it. And that's probably the best way to explain last month's cliffhanger ending, that it's just a random Boruto's having a heart attack, which we assume is because of the side effects of the drug. But they don't really go into too much detail in terms of explaining why this necessarily is. But anyway, that's just the way kind of things are. Overall, they've brought a lot of characters together here. The fight has gotten even more intense, and it feels like this could maybe now work out in a very interesting way to set up some cool stuff going forward. So that's the big, I think, positive from the chapter. So let's get into it sort of page by page. For anyone wondering why I didn't do a speculation video for this month's chapter, I think that partly explains it. I didn't really have much to say about what my speculation on why Boruto is sort of having a heart attack or whatever. And then most of the speculation really would have been about which characters are going to show up first and when will they show up. I didn't necessarily predict that Naruto and Shikamaru would show up in this chapter. They did, and that just highlights the kind of pacing is very much the writers are just choosing when they want to accelerate things, and it's hard to fully predict when they'll do that. So Kawaki points out maybe it's the side effects of the meds, but as we cut to Boruto and sort of his perspective on things, he sees Momoshiki up in the tree. So it's been a while since we've, I suppose, seen this in this much sort of detail, but just the idea that Boruto's having a conversation with Momoshiki, who's inside him. And he says, even if you halt karmic extraction with some trifling drug, it's no more than a stopgap measure. Hello again, foolish lad. So the karma begins to activate. We can definitely get the impression we're going full Borushiki here. And Boruto does note, and it's not because I used up all my strength or chakra. It feels like time itself was stopped. This happened before, that day right after we took Momoshiki down. That's likely when he implanted the karma in me. That's a weird way to word that. The bit that felt really clear on he clearly did it at this moment as he died, Momoshiki. Boruto's questioning when exactly it happened. Just a weird wording. I get what they're going for. Momoshiki does spot code and is worthless Kara dregs, but he is the one who has the divine tree seedling, Ten Tails, isn't he? What a perfect chance to kill him, move aside boy, and this is how Borushiki takes over. I do like that, Momoshiki wanting to do things in the way of the Otsutsuki to, achieve the goal. Get the Ten Tails, take over Boruto, and feed Kawaki to the Ten Tails to get the chakra fruit. He still wants to achieve that overall Otsutsuki goal. I do like that. So yeah, he appears directly in front of Code, goes for a giant Rasengan. Code dodges out of the way, I guess using the claw marks, and he notes that, whoa, that's super, super powerful. Totally different from Boruto's karma strength, so the difference between Boruto in control of the power and Momoshiki in control of the power is pretty stark. And this is, he notes again, this is why no wonder Boro had no chance. So that explains that. We then cut over to Amado talking to Sai and Sumire. Kawaki's already encountered Code. How do you know? They confirmed he's going up against an unknown chakra signature. And he's like, Boruto shouldn't have any sensing abilities. This is way too fast. How did he find Kawaki? And they sort of question, like, oh, maybe someone's working with him. But he says, I won't discount the possibility, but there isn't an outer who's that skilled either, as far as I know. And the net result of this is just Amado kind of thinking to himself, come on, Kawaki, we've gotten this far. Don't muck it up now. And Sumire is concerned. So continuing that sort of trend of like something shady's going on here. It's the one point in the chapter where they set up the idea that, oh, maybe things in previous chapters went differently than we thought they did. But anyway, we cut back to the result of the Rasengan. Kawaki is shocked by the power as well. Ada is even warning Code, like, you probably should retreat. You can't hold off against an opponent this powerful. He does. Code is the one to capture Kawaki, and this is where we get a really interesting point here where Borishiki goes to attack Code, who has Kawaki. Code obviously makes the point of, you want the chakra fruit too, don't you? Then you'll need him as the sacrifice for the Ten Tails. You should probably stand down. So he uses this kind of pause in the fight to, you know, it was nice to meet you, Osatsuki Momoshiki, but I'm leaving now. So he heads off through one of his claw marks back to base, I suppose. But as his upper body is phasing through, Borishiki generates a Rasengan with just 2 fingers, and then shrinks it down and fires it like a bullet at Code. It goes straight through his shoulder, and then he pulls him out of the karma mark. So he stops him from retreating. And he's like, what a dud, karma. You can't even absorb jutsu with it. He calls this the Rasen Dan. So Rasen bullet. So very cool here to see Momoshiki, who was defeated by Rasengan, sort of acknowledge the ability and sort of develop a new one himself. That's actually really cool. Yeah, from here what we get is that Borishiki has sort of rescued Kawaki, but he wants him for his own reasons. So Kawaki goes after Borishiki. Borishiki just kind of smacks him down and goes to sort of break his arm so he doesn't do anything. But right as this happens, Shikamaru arrives on the scene and grabs Borishiki with his Shadow Possession Jutsu. And this is where we also see that Naruto has arrived, and he rushes in and grabs Kawaki and brings him to safety. Immediately, of course, Shikamaru's Shadow Possession is broken because Borishiki can absorb jutsus. So Ada notes it's now total mayhem with this many people on the battlefield. Code does note that, like, oh, Shikamaru's here too. Naruto's second. This is interesting, and so he's going to use him to his advantage. And Naruto's asking questions about, like, has Momoshiki taken over Boruto's body again? But Kawaki is just concerned that Naruto's here at all. Why did you come? Run away or else you really will get killed. But Naruto, of course, sticks to his guns. I'm the Hokage, I cannot and will not run from any enemy that threatens my village. So he's staying here. This is one of the points of which, like, I get there's, I suppose, meant to be a power mismatch here. But Code does just grab Shikamaru with, like, no problem whatsoever. And Shikamaru should be very, very powerful here. So I don't like that there was no fight, there was no struggle whatsoever here. Shikamaru just got by Code. I don't like how quickly this happened, and that he's just being used as a kind of bargaining pawn here. So again, we get sort of the reverse situation here. Code is now using Shikamaru to prevent Naruto from doing anything. Shikamaru does say, you know, don't worry about me, just fight, do what you need to do to, you know, win this situation effectively. Naruto is kind of concerned over what to do. Borishiki takes an interesting approach here. He's like, fascinating. I'll help you, Code, kill the Hokage, that is, because he's a nuisance to me as well. And they're kind of temporarily working together because they both have issues with Naruto. So Shikamaru again is like, fight them, Naruto, you have to do this. Kawaki rushes in at this point. He breaks out of Naruto and rushes in. Borishiki sort of smacks him aside, And again, we just get kind of a recap of the situation of like, don't fight Naruto or Shikamaru will die. So Borishiki begins to activate a giant Rasengan, and it seems like he's got Naruto here because Naruto has not chosen not to act. But suddenly it gets absorbed by a karma, and we get a recap of what Amado said to Kawaki before. Is it powerlessness that's irritating you, or grief over losing the karma? So take it for yourself, especially since Ishiki's gone for good. Brand new power in the form of a karma that's purely a weapon. So we see that Kawaki now has full kind of karma here. He goes into the sort of like second stage here, absorbs the jutsu, looks pretty cool, and everyone is shocked that Kawaki has the karma and he can use it really well. Now, this is one of those ones where it's a cool, surprising cliffhanger, but it's only a surprise because the chapters before, like, literally told us basically that he didn't go ahead with Amado's kind of suggestion to get the kind of karma himself. So immediately, this needs a big explanation. Something about how exactly this happened, how he got the karma back, what it means that he has it back, and where do things go from here. It solves one major problem, and that is that for the sort of flash forward scene from chapter 1, it explains, oh, Kawaki has his karma, he gets it back, and it also explains that it is this sort of Ishiki karma. So that's one thing we did need to know, like, because the question otherwise was, well, if Ishiki's gone, the only way he can get a karma is to get Momoshiki's one, but no, they're sticking to he still has the Ishiki karma, so that's fine. It is one of those ones where it is an exciting end page, but it does definitely make me question, like, wow, we had like 5-6 months of chapters of Kawaki going back and forth, his plan to head out here on his own, to do things on his own without the karma, and now you just reveal he has the karma. You can see why there's an element of frustration here with regards to the writing and the way they went about sort of revealing this information to the readers. But I can brush that aside just because it was a chapter that did make proper progress, and now we're left in a situation where I guess Kawaki will now turn the tides of battle here, where Kawaki will fight with Naruto to fight against Borishiki and Code, but again, they're not exactly on proper terms with each other either. This might give Shikamaru a chance to kind of break free, enter the battle himself, and then there's always the opportunity for Sasuke to arrive on the scene at some point as well. So I'm interested to see what happens here, because obviously at this point it's maybe becoming clear that, okay, he has the karma back, so a few things are put into place. Kawaki is insanely devoted to Naruto to, like, almost, you're getting the impression, an unhealthy level. What lengths will he go to protect him? And I think that's the way we're being led to believe the first chapter is meant to be interpreted, that it wasn't necessarily a full-on villainous act that Kawaki did to, put Naruto wherever he was but he's put him somewhere to keep him out of the action and safe from whatever incident is happening. So that's very interesting to consider. But overall, exciting chapter. I liked a lot of the action. Just Borishiki is always very hyped to see with the big Rasengans, and now the Rasendan, the Rasen bullet. Really, really good stuff there. I like addressing that Momoshiki still has the sort of Otsutsuki plan in mind as well. So it's now all about, over the next couple of chapters, how do they resolve this fight overall, and I suppose get us into some sort of a time skip situation. Who ends up failing in this situation? Who ends up winning? That's what we're not really sure about. I get the feeling that we probably at this point have to build up to the Jogon. I think the Jogan is probably going to be one of the only ways that Boruto probably breaks out of this control that Momoshiki has over him here. And they've held back on really mentioning it almost at all. And it feels like that has to be the big sort of turning point in a way, is to reveal what exactly is going on with the Jogan as the sort of surprise reveal, get everyone's reaction to it type thing. But overall, I think that's more or less everything I want to say about this chapter for this time out. We'll see if I feel like there's enough to do a speculation video on ahead of next month's chapter. Probably will, but otherwise, in the comments, let me know what your thoughts were on this chapter. But that has been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.